Hey everyone, CPO here, and I'm going to do a quick follow-up video on the whole two-finger gesture to erase with the Supernote A5 or A6 to answer a couple of questions and do a little bit more in-depth sort of analysis of how this works and how it can be used. So a couple of questions a lot of people have had are, is this coming to the A5X or A6X? And then if so, how long? And the answer to that is, I'm pretty sure, and I don't know. Honestly, I'm nearly 100% positive they're going to bring this feature over to the X series, the A5X or the A6X. I would guess probably the next update cycle, which might be in the next month or so, but I don't know. Like, I don't have a direct line into the development cycle. I do know, though, that this is the first update that introduced a fairly significant feature that came out on the A5 or A6 first before coming to the X series. I think they're probably just trying to spread the love around a little bit. Maybe it was easier to develop on the Linux platform versus the Android-based platform of the X series. But with all that said, I'm pretty sure it's coming to the entire product lineup. I just don't know how long it'll be. It could be the next update. They could be trying to work out some details. I don't know. This video, though, I'm going to show you a couple of things about how it works. And I don't think it's a very complicated gesture, so it should be easy to implement in the X series pretty quickly. The other question I get a lot is, can you do this while holding the device? So a lot of people will use the device holding it, and the question is, how does this work so you don't have to put down the device to put two fingers on to erase? And I'm going to show you that. I'll show you how this works, and then you can decide if any of it makes sense for you. So let's go to the device and I'll show you. All right, so here is my device, and yeah, so if you missed the last video or you're not sure what I'm talking about, there is a new feature that you can hold down two fingers, and it will enable the erase feature, the select erase feature on Supernote. So rather than having to go over, switch to the eraser, do your selection erase, and then switch back to your pen, they have given you the ability to just put down two fingers and erase. So that's pretty cool. Easy when it's on a desktop. The problem is if you're holding it, how do you get two fingers? Like, we're going to talk about that. And I'll show you sort of how this works, which should help us understand how we can make it work in your specific situation. So there are a couple of things about the touch gesture that have to be programmed in for it to work, right? So you have distance. That's the distance between the two touches, right? So what I found is, and I don't know, I'm actually kind of curious if any of the developers watch this and they can tell me exactly how far off I am. It'd be kind of interesting. But it looks like if it is within about 50 millimeters of distance between the two touches, it will register as a two-finger gesture. So for example, if I touch them here, clearly within 50 millimeters, I get that. If I come out this far, it's not registering it, right? Because it's too far. I'm looking for that boundary again. Ooh. It's right about here that is on the edge of the boundary. So if I look here, yeah, that's right at 50 millimeters or 5 centimeters. So I think that that's probably the right distance is the touches have to be in that. If it's wider than that, it won't register. And that matters if you're trying to use a finger from different hands, right? So if you, let me erase that real quick. If you are going to touch from two different hands, you need to get them close enough. No, I can't even do it. There we go. That it will register. So more on that here in a second. The other thing we have is time. So time, I'm guessing, is probably within 250 milliseconds or so. That's a really rough guess for me. And the point being here is that it's not possible generally to precisely simultaneously touch your fingers at the same time. So there has to be a little bit of allowance for variance. And I think that allowance is around 250 milliseconds, a quarter of a second. Because if I take about a half a second, it doesn't register. But if I do about a quarter second, it does. So I'm assuming as long as within 250 milliseconds and within 50 millimeters of distance, it's going to register the gesture. Before I talk about how we can use this to our advantage, now that we know sort of how it works, I do want to talk about another thing here, and that is edge erasing. So when it comes to erasing anything really close to the edge here, I did find it's a little bit odd in the fact that sometimes it will hold the erasing gesture whenever you leave the edge, and you can actually erase something. Sometimes it won't. I don't know if it has to do with the distance or where I put it, but if you watch here, see there it lost the eraser. So there's some weird nuances there trying to get to edge items. So just wanted to point that out because I thought it was weird, and I cannot erase that right there. There we go, finally got it. So there's some weird stuff on the edge that may give you some problems, in which case you just go back to normal, like old school erasing. And then finally, the other thing I want to talk to is the width of the erase stroke. Because it is not, like if I hold down here and I get this stroke here, that width is not how wide your erase stroke is. And this is a selection erase. So what it's looking to do is close a gap. So if I make an arc here, you can imagine it's going to snap back straight to it. If I do a circle, it's going to complete the circle and snap to it. If I do a line, it's just going to snap right back to close it, and that becomes your erase. So don't get confused on that. It is trying to enclose a selection. But what I want to show you is, I'm going to fill this out. Just give us some dark stuff here. I'm going to draw a line right through the middle. I'll give you that for reference. Now, I'm going to erase right down the center of the line. And you would think that whole section is going to go away, but watch. It doesn't. It cuts the line down the middle, and that's because the stroke is literally, I don't know if it's pixels wide or what the width is, but it's not the full width of the stroke that you see whenever you draw the stroke. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Just wanted to point that out. So again, you can cut through something, and it's going to be just a line that it uses as a marker and then pushes everything off. But that line is actually in the middle of this stroke. It's not the full width of the stroke. So just something to note there. All right, so how do we take distance and time and use that to our advantage? So again, two fingers within 50 millimeters and within a quarter of a second-ish apart should give you the stroke. It doesn't matter how long you have it held there. That will work. Once you release, you're back to your normal stroke. The other thing is, once you start your stroke, you can let go of your fingers, and it will continue to keep the erase function. So all you have to do is get it started, and it will stay in erase mode, right? So that's how we use it if we're holding the device. So a couple things here. Obviously, let me give us something to erase. Obviously, you can come over here and get creative and do something like that, right? Probably not ideal. You don't have to use these two fingers. You can use a finger and a thumb, as long as you can nail, there we go, the distance and the timing, and you're registering without it looking like a palm or something else, right? So two distinct points. You can use fingers from separate hands. Now, the practicality of this, there we go, is up to you. but I'm showing you some options here. You can also do two fingers, get a pen down. I've got this to work a couple times. There we go. And erase using one hand. Because again, all you have to do is start it. So two fingers, a hand. There you go. You can erase. Again, it's awkward, but it can be done with multiple hands if you're using that sort of 50 millimeter spacing and then the timing. Honestly, for me, like if I'm hand holding and I need to erase something, I'm not sure. Like I don't hand hold a lot, so this is different for me. I'm not sure what my preference would be. Honestly, at this point, you know, it might be just as easy to go over here and select, right? So does it work with hand holding? The answer is yes, it does. It can. You may have to figure out some sort of a method that works for you. Is it the most practical solution? Probably not. I'll let you decide on that. But anyway, that's the question. That's how it works. You figure out, knowing that information, if you can figure out a way to make it work for you. And yeah, that's your job, not mine. Anyway, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.